Hey guys, I'm back for the third part of the series on clairaudience. Now, just a heads up, you'll notice I have on the same thing in every video for this series. The reason is because I promise if we want all the videos in the series, I need to bulk record. And I remember back in my YouTube partner days when like my job was YouTubing, I would like change shirts and do all that. Like, look, I'm older. I keep it real, and I'm probably going to record about 6 videos today. And so probably 7. And so this is my video number 4 that I'm recording, but I want to make sure I get you the rest of the piece inside of clairaudience. So video 1, if you missed it, I'm doing a series on the 4 of the clairs. There are a bunch of them, but I'm doing 4 of the clairs. I'm doing the most common one: clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentient, and claircognizant. And going through, and each week I am breaking down 3 different things. I'm breaking down, number 1, what it is. Number 2, I will give you a story of how I realized, because I am all 4 of them, which is why I'm focusing on just these 4, how I realized that I was whatever that particular clair is, what it sounds like to me, feels like, look like, no like, because one of them is clair knowing, right? So I want to give you what it is in my experience, and then I'm going to do a 3rd video on each one that is like a practice for you so that you can develop that clair a little bit more. So again, I am all the clairs, and right now this is part 1, and we are on clairaudience. The reason I've chosen to do this is because a couple of these I've always had, but because I didn't know what it looked like, because I didn't understand I knew what it was, but I thought it was going to be something outside of me, or something different than what it was. I didn't quite realize that these were gifts that I already had in me, and not just gifts like laying dormant. They're gifts that I've been using and wasn't conscious of. So because of that, I'll go through each one and give you my experience, and then again the practice for your development. All right, so if you go back to video 2, I talked about what is clairaudience. Video number 3, I talked about my experience, and this is the 4th video since I've relaunched this channel, and I want to give you like a really quick exercise on developing your clairaudience, and I feel like it's super easy. And if this is something that you already have the rudiment of, I think it's going to be easy, and I can almost bet most people can develop this. So the first thing is, if you remember in the last video, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's what it sounds like to hear from spirit. In the last video, I talked about it doesn't sound like me talking to you right now. It's not that loud, and even though clairaudience stands for clear hearing, in all actuality, it's not that clear. Like, it's not loud. It's none of those things. It's very subtle. So if you are in a space and place in your life where you're taking quiet time out for you, that you're extremely present, that you pay attention to those little things, you may miss it. Like, you may totally miss it. And so I am more inclined to believe that if you're even watching this video, it's something that you feel you probably already have, or again, the rudiment of that thing. And so the first thing I want you to do, if you want to know what clairaudience sound like for most people, again, I talked about it in the last video, but I'm just going to hit on it a little bit here, is, let me think, a random word. Say the word apple in your mind. Like, don't say it out loud. Okay, you said the word apple. Now say the word clairaudience in your mind. All right. How you just heard that, like you said it, you thought it like you say it, and you hear yourself think it, that's how clairaudience comes through most of the time. Now, there are other situations where a lot of times it can externalize if it's going to save you from something, but most of the time that's how it comes through for most people, and it mostly comes through as your voice. So now you know what it sounds like, and I wanted you to go through that practice so that you could hear. And so if you want to do that a few more times just so you can understand. So when you think it, Like I literally just thought it. When you think it, if you notice it, it's not as loud and it's not as vibrational as you listening to my external vocal voice right now, right? And so you want to think that. So what I want to, like the way I would do this, let me say that, is first you need to set the intention that you want to be able to hear from your spirit guides. We're going to stick to spirit guides. Not everyone has mediumship abilities, but we all have spirit guides. And so you want to be able to hear from your spirit guides. And so you want to set that intention that is what you're working on, being able to hear the voice, being able to be very conscious. And this is how you get to literally hear very clear what you can do. And this exercise actually will probably work for all of them, but I'll give you different ones for each one. So what you want to do is set your intention, and then you can ask a question and wait for the answer. Now, the answer may not come immediately. The answer may come tomorrow. The answer may come next week, but set an intention. So I'm going to give you an example, which may be kind of a deep example, but even though it's a deep example, this is how it worked for me. So a few months ago, like all of a sudden I woke up, and like I've always believed in past lives, even when it wasn't popular within the Christian church to believe in past lives, because I've had my own experiences, and I'll talk about that in another video as well. But then I also know that spirits of our deceased loved ones actually still exist, just on a different plane, and not the physical realm and not the physical plane, but they still exist. That's how they're able to get messages over, right? And so I began to say, well, wait a minute. If my cat is sitting over here, I don't know if you guys can see her. I'm gonna try to scoot it over. You see her right there, and she's looking at me like, who in the hell are you talking to? Anyway, if past lives are real, which I know they are, and if spirits of your loved ones still exist, how is it a past life and they exist? Like, I got all confused, so I started asking people. No one could answer for me. So I asked my guide. I was like, okay, I'm going to need to know how is this possible? And this was on one day. And because I probably do it so much now, I've been doing it all my life, but unconsciously, because I do it so much now, it comes through quicker for me. The next day, I'm in my bathroom, brushing my teeth, and just like this, it drops in. And it's a soul and a spirit is different. And I'll talk about that on another video. But I had the entire thing and I fully understood. I stopped brushing my teeth to go run to Google and start looking up the difference between a soul, a spirit, all these types of things, right? But it came through for me the next day. I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but brushing my teeth is part of my quiet time. So I'm quiet and it drops through in my mind. Now this one came through like clairaudience. Like I heard it. It didn't drop through like a knowing. It's like I heard it in my mind. So I went and searched it, and lo and behold, that theory really fits. Like, okay, that's a theory that fits. I believe my guides never steer me wrong so far. So your practice that you could do is to ask a question. It could be a simple question. It could be any type of question at all, and wait for your answer and listen. So that's one assignment you can do. Another one is oftentimes with clairaudience, we can hear it that way. But if you can't quite quiet your mind enough, and that's a practice in itself, which is why I suggest the practice of meditation. If you can't quite quiet your mind enough, often answers are revealed to us in songs, in television shows. So still ask the question, and then pay attention to everything around you that is audible. So it could come in the form of television. It could come in the form of a song, the radio. It could come when you're talking to someone else and they say something and you're like, that is the answer. Oh my God. So it can come in either of those forms. So just make sure you're looking or waiting and listening for the answer, right? So it's really that simple. Set your intention and start asking questions and start communicating with your guides. And when you start communicating and saying, like, hey, I know you're here and I'm so grateful for you to be here. And this is my question. Here's the answer. Okay, guys, I'm going to end it here. If you're watching this at one time, you'll notice that in the course of a day, I posted all of them because today is Thursday. And I want to make sure that all of the videos are up before the week is over so that next week I can start on clairvoyance. So you'll see more in a row this week. Next week, I'll space them out a little bit more. All right, that's your assignment. I can't wait to hear how it turns out for you. You should let me know in the comments. Peace out. Okay, I'm tripping. Bye, y'all.